Do you know how it started? Most people have no idea how and why Notting Hill Carnival started.
New and ugly raises its head in Britain. In Notting Hill Gate, only a mile or two from London's West End, racial violence. An angry crowd of youths chases a Negro into a greengrocer shop, while police reinforcements are called up to check the riot, one of many that have broken out here in a few days. The injured victim, a Jamaican, is taken to safety. But the police have not been able to reach all the trouble spots so promptly, and the quietest street may flare up at any moment.
Same night, blood was about to spill on the streets of Notting Hill.
A group of 9 teenagers assembled, quite consciously, because they put a whole series of metal bars and hammers and other implements into the boot of their car. And they drove around the area, and over a period of about 4 hours, they set upon, in about 5 separate instances, any black person they could find on their own or at most in twos. So they had a group of 9 white youths setting on individual black people, an ultimate act of cowardice, and causing very severe injuries. One of the black people had a stab wound to the chest, and when the court case happened, had to be brought in on a stretcher.
On Friday night, a hostile crowd started to gather outside Latimer Road Station, looking for a victim. Went on a rampage, attacking any black person they could find. With the white mob out to menace them and the lack of protection from the police, the black community decided enough was enough. A meeting was convened in Toto Bag's Blues Club at number 9 Blenheim Crescent.
Saw a large crowd of coloured men, about 30, walking along Blenheim Crescent towards Ladbroke Grove. They were completely blocking the footway, and I heard shouts of, "What about it now?"
That's heavy. That's heavy. I must confess, I didn't know that, because the story of the Notting Hill Carnival, and actually the way it's positioned today as hyper-problematic dance party with undertones of violence, the story of how it emerged is never told. That it emerged as a response to racist aggression, as a way of black people defending themselves. And I certainly didn't know about black men banding together in armed gangs to defend themselves. That's hot, man. That's hot. It reminds me actually of, you know, the lynchings and murders of black people. So it's interesting noting the similarities and parallels between Black Britain and Black America.
Carnival is almost here, so let's talk about the origins and the history of why it started. In the 1950s, race relations were incredibly high, and this led to the murder of Kelso Cochrane, and this sparked outrage in the community. Community activist Ron Laslett, who's from a Native American and Russian background, decided to do something for the community. So she started a small community fair, and this was intended to bring the communities and the demographics together. Claudia Jones, a Trinidadian activist, then did an indoor carnival, and this was broadcasted on the BBC. Laslett then launched the first outdoor festival, which was attended by Russ Henderson, a very well-known steel pan player, and thus Notting Hill Carnival was born. And 5 decades on, Notting Hill Carnival is still thriving, flourishing, bringing money to the economy, unifying the community, and mostly sharing our beautiful culture. So I will see you guys on the road at Notting Hill Carnival.
Psychology, political science, biology, physiology, economic theory. Take any theory you can find from any discipline you've been exposed to in the Western world, and you could not, within the confines of the parameters of that theory, explain why we are still here. In fact, if you use the parameters in any of those theories, they would tell you none of us should be here. And certainly, the fact that you sit here in front of me today with the dignity, the respectability, and the beauty that you're showing and exuding, and the fact that we have rediscovered, despite all that we've been through, the secrets that was hidden from us about ourselves, there was no way that could have been predicted. Don't you know that Caucasians did all they could do within the limits of what they knew to block us ever getting back to this point? Don't you know there was never supposed to be an Ivan Van Sertima to know that African people had been here before Columbus got here? Don't you know there was never supposed to be a John Henry Clark, never supposed to be a Joseph Ben Yakanan, never supposed to be a Van Sertima, never supposed to be a Asa Hilliard, never supposed to be a Maulana Karenga, never supposed to be a John G. Jackson, never supposed to be any of these people engaged in restoring this? Don't you know they did all they could to prevent it? They spotted our brightest ones, snatched them quick. They tried to kill them, then they tried to drive them crazy, and then they simply reprogrammed them. So we lost many, but look how many we kept. The development of the minds that we have cannot be understood using any concept of educational or training theory. It can't be understood. If you deal economically, you can't explain our economic situation based upon economic theory. We are not supposed to be here. And not only are we here, we got billions of dollars. We got good money. We just don't have good sense.
In truth, we've had to fight tooth and nail for every single thing that we've gained in this country that barely tolerates us. I think the Windrush scandal was proof of that. No matter your contribution, no matter how long you've been here, you're not seen as British. You can be deported at any time. You can be ejected at any time. No matter how many decades you've worked here, no matter how many children you've got here. It's ugly, but it's true. We are barely tolerated. Every black person who is here has earned their place.
Order, 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 order.